Reorganization theory says that dreaming is part of a process of reorganization. Similar to Marie Kondo here, our brain needs to get rid of all the clutter and the things that don't bring us joy, and it needs to kind of put things into boxes and into the right areas within our mind in order to make sure that we can actually get through the day. And so dreams are part of that process. So if we think about the theory as a cognitive explanation for dreaming. So Crick and Mitchinson in 1983 wanted to think about a cognitive explanation for dreaming. And in particular, they saw dreaming as a process of memory consolidation. And we've talked a little bit about this. You might remember this from when we did our memory topic, but we're going to go into much more detail about it here. So Crick and Mitchinson said there are two types of memory. There are adaptive memories and there are parasitic memories. Adaptive memories to them are useful memories. Basically things like people's names, addresses, things that happen during your day, important information that you're going to need going forward. And so for them, these are things that we want to hold on to. But they're also kind of parasitic memories. Parasitic memories are the things that we pick up without even meaning to. So those are things like the colour of the bus driver's hair, the particular shade of green that the grass outside your window is, a sign or a poster that you saw on your way to work, things that are just totally meaningless, unhelpful, unuseful. You didn't mean to take them in, but they've somehow got lodged in your brain anyway. Remember, we're taking information in all the time. Like right now, I'm sitting here, I can see the kids playing outside, I can see the particular shape that the clouds are making, I can see a book that I've forgotten that I'd left there. I can see all these things, they're all coming in, I can hear the sound of the river outside, I can smell the sound of I can smell the smell of breakfast, I can do all of these different things. And so all of that information is coming into our brain, and our brain needs to get rid of some of it because it's got a lot of it stuck in there that is just parasitic and unhelpful. They're called parasitic because they take up space and energy. We don't have an unlimited capacity in our brains, and so these memories are useless, but they're taking up space. A bit like Boris Johnson. Now, the brain cannot cope with retaining all of the information that we take in during an ordinary day. It just can't cope with it. And in fact, if it did retain all of that information, we would start kind of experiencing weird connections between information. We'd start maybe hallucinating. We'd start getting very confused. So essentially, what Crick and Mitchison say in reorganization theory is that we dream to forget. Dreams basically represent our brains disposing of all the unnecessary information that we've picked up during the preceding day. And the reason why it happens at night is that during the day, we can't really be getting rid of some stuff while other stuff's coming in. There's too much processing going on there. So during the night, our brains are shut off from the outside world. There's no external stimuli coming in. So that's a good time for this process to happen and for our brains to kind of get rid of, and our minds to get rid of all of this useless information. And it seems to happen particularly during REM sleep. Our brains can stop parasitic memories from being formed, i.e. from moving deep into the long-term memory, and it can also get rid of those that have already formed. And the way that this works is that the brain sends these powerful signals, like electrical impulses, from the brain stem, right, the back of our brain here, to the cortex, which is where our memories are stored. And these kind of random stimuli break apart memories that don't have very much traction, that are kind of not particularly well held. They have a weak memory trace. So for example, if you've been like, I've got to remember this phone number, okay, it's this, yep, I've got that stuck in my head. That's kind of quite a strong memory trace because you've tried to remember it. Or I've got to remember that conversation I had today, or that joke that I heard. That's got a strong memory trace. These are random signals, they're going to fire into it, they're going to bounce right off, they're not going to do anything. But weak memory traces, like what colour was that door that I saw this morning, it's hardly stored there very strongly. And so when this random signal comes in, it blows it apart, sends it flying off, and destroys it essentially. But one of the byproducts of this is that these stimuli are weird, they're random by nature. And so our brain kind of doesn't necessarily know this is happening. It sees all these weird stimuli coming in, and so maybe we'll have weird dreams because our brain's trying to interpret what on earth are these weird stimuli that are happening. So, for example, we can see this picture here. You might have the stimuli of like freezing cold and a picture of the moon and a feeling of loneliness, and all these things come together, and you have this weird dream about this man doing whatever he is with a fish and some people. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what it is, guys. But the point is that dreams here are random, and they're caused by this process of weird, random stimuli being sent from one part of the brain to the other to break up memories. This process is called reverse learning, and sometimes you might hear people talk about reverse learning theory instead of reorganization theory. It's the exact same thing. We're using the term reorganization theory because that's what the SQA uses, but reverse learning, reorganization, Crick and Mitchison, all the same thing. Now, if reverse learning doesn't happen, then we get all of this stuff stuck in our head, and connections between these pieces of unnecessary information might be made during waking hours, resulting in bizarre thoughts or hallucinations. So if these things happen during REM sleep, great, you just have dreams. They're weird dreams, but whatever. If they happen during waking hours, that's a problem, right? Because we're going to start seeing things that aren't there. We're going to start acting weird. And you might have seen this when you've not had very much sleep. Then your brain starts to slow down, and you also just have weird thoughts, and you're not really with it, and you're kind of connecting things in an odd way. So that seems to check out.